Namaste. We come, we share a planet that is really old, much older than when we were born. And when we were born, we came into this place that has been lived by several generations before. Now it may seem like I'm repeating the same thing, but I'm referring to a journey of where we are born into, like from the moment we are born, and then after coming here, we kind of discover through interactions with people, through interactions with the plant, the animals, the things, on what there is. We learn different ways of thinking, we learn different ways of being, the different kinds of challenges there is there, and how we find our way to maneuver through things. So it's a journey of life. So similarly, there are several thinkings, several ways of thinking that has been here on this planet in several layers of several realms, so to speak. Like how we have earth, we can feel it, right? We have air, then we have warmth, then we have fluidity. We sense a kind of fluidity in the air because it's depending on how dry or warm or cool the air is. So there are several layers of what we can perceive. Yeah. Now, just as we come to learn about these things from going to school. Now, from school, they talk about they talk in terms of biology, they talk in terms of physics, in terms of chemistry. Then we talk about sociology and history, and that's how we learn how things were before we came into existence, before we were born. That's how we learn where we are. And all these learnings that we learn in the school, mathematics and science and all of these things, came about from there being other people who have worked on this and have now passed on that information to us for us to learn, and then from which to find our way through life. Now, I'm referring to a certain different idea, so it's a different perspective on a take on what reality is. And there's another layer that may not be easily being perceived, and that's the idea that the place that we have been born into has, again I'm repeating myself, but this place has been lived by several generations of people before us. Bodily, they may have lived their life and moved. But just as there is information which is there through books, there is information through the internet, there is several information that comes to us now, we Google it. I refer to the idea that our ancestors, maybe even you can say in spirit. What I mean by that is the air we breathe, the air we interact with, is just as much populated by all that there has been. Now we can call it as oxygen, you can call it as nitrogen and all of those gases. But you could say, and we can't see them. We can't see oxygen, we can't see hydrogen unless we see their reactivity through different chemicals. So consider that our ancestors are also part of all of that we experience around us. Just like we experience the air, there are people who have been mindful, who have been kind, whose planet, whose home has also been these places. They have lived here. Yeah, they have laughed, they've cried, they passed on life. They passed how life is. From all of this, we emerged. So, why am I saying this now? There's a particular relevance to it. often there is a sense that we are alone. We may be going through different kinds of struggles and difficulties, maybe. Sometimes we may be feeling like, you're the only one who's dealing with this. Others may have and when you're going through a down moment, it may seem like, no, you're completely alone. Have you heard of this thing that when you're going through a bad time, it seems like even your shadow leaves you? So I'm bringing this idea to your attention for those moments when, if you have an experience of being alone, that nobody is around you, there's nobody to support you, many of those kind of things, to remember that the words that you use has been used by several others. The words that you use came from several people adding meanings to them, from it being passed from generation to generation. You learned your words from your parents, from teachers, from people around you. Yeah, we learned them, and then we have meanings that we now use those words in certain particular meanings in different particular contexts, and then we communicate with people. Even when you're thinking that I'm alone, our words, it's an experience, but you encapsulate that experience in the words you use. So remember that even if you're thinking, even when you're speaking, you're using words. And every word that you're saying is being heard by somebody. Now, you may know a person who's there across you, in your environment, who may be able to hear you. But to remember that the place that we are in has been lived by several generations. We may not be able to see them, but our ancestors are right around us. In different ways, they're finding their own. Well, it's an idea. May not be able to see them, but the place we now have built in terms of these buildings, in terms of all these constructions, these are on places which has been lived by other people before us for several generations. So anytime you feel alone, anytime you're thinking in words, remember that somebody is listening to you. Every word, in some way or the other, is being listened to. So you're never alone. Okay? And in that consolation, you will find a support that right where you are has been lived by several others. And through your genes, through the history of the words that you use, you are then in the midst, in the listening, in the field of where your ancestors came from. Yeah? You have come to be from several generations. It's there in your genes, it's there in the words that you use, because they all came from several other people having lived and passed on those words to us. And every time you feel alone, every time you connect with your words, remember that you came from your ancestors. And all will be well again. Yeah? You'll find the support. You'll find the support with which to find the support that you need, with which to move life, with which to move, take the next step in finding the support, in being who you need to be, in discovering what there is from where you are right now, that you may not be able to see immediately, but just connecting with this sense that where you came, where you are now, came from several other movements. Okay, you're a consequence and are a continuation of several generations. Yeah, and you will be well again. Yeah, I hope you come to experience this like in this moment, because it is true now, and not just only when you're alone or seeking for some support. It's true right now. I hope you come to experience this and find your way to move in life this way, gently, kindly, and mindfully. Thank you for listening.